Job chapter 31, verse number 1. Before we get there, I'm just going to read a little description of Job. How does God describe Job? Chapter 1, verse 1 says, there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright. Would God say that about you? Doubt it. And one that feared God and eschewed evil. Eschewed means he stayed away from it. He kept his distance. Eschewed it. Give a distance. Okay? So what made Job upright? What made him perfect? Now this word perfect can also be translated as mature. He's a mature believer. He walked uprightly. Why? Because he kept his distance from evil. He feared God. And because of that fear, like a react chain. Why was he perfect? Why was he upright? Because he feared God. And because he feared God, what did he do? He eschewed. He kept a distance away from evil. So we want to be like Job. He's a good father. He's a good husband. He's a good leader. He's a good man. He's a mature. He's a role model. He's a hero of the faith. And of course we know the story of Job. God said, hey, I'm going to give Job a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where I'm going to allow him to glorify me beyond all creatures in this world. Before Satan, before the demons, for all of eternity written in the Bible, I'm going to give Job this opportunity because he's upright, because he's mature, to glorify me. Now that's the greatest thing in the life of a believer. Unbelievers, they say, well, God made it back with Satan, and that God was going to destroy Job's family just out of a pettiness, out of a vindictive, sore loser God. No, God was giving Job something great. Better than a family. Better than anything. And that is that God would receive much glory through him. That's more important to you than your children, more important to you than anything is that God be glorified. So that's the story of the life of Job. You know it, but I want to focus in on something that made Job so great. Specifically. You know, he eschewed evil, he feared God, he walked uprightly. What about it? So we know that he had 3 friends that came to him and said, hey Job, we know you've done these wicked things. We know you're fornicating. You've had covetous, you've had girlfriends. And Job says, no, I have not. And they said, sure you are, Job. You're just pretending to be uprighteous. You're pretending that you love the poor. You're pretending that you're faithful to your wife. But we know you're not, Job. Kind of sounds like the accusers are accusing Job of something that maybe they were guilty of. Maybe. The saying is to every thief, or to a thief, every man is a thief. Why? Because they think you're a thief. Why would they think you're a thief? Well, because they are. So, but Job was set apart from these guys. Job was head and shoulders standing taller than these men. And we can find out some of the keys and secrets to his success in our topic tonight. And that's in Job chapter 31, verse 1. So the friends came and said, Job, you're a fornicator. Okay? You're a fornicator. And Job said this. He says, I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a name? Alright? And that word think there is to lust after. And it's not to think good things. It's to think bad things. So Job was being criticized. And said, Job, we know you have girlfriends. You're running around on your wife. And Job says, I don't so much as think about another girl. How can you say that, Job? The answer says, Job says, because I protect my eyes. Okay, the topic is about the eyes tonight. Specifically, what you let in through your eyes. It's been said, it's not in the Bible, but it's been said that the eyes are the gateway to the soul. When you look directly into a person's eyes, you're looking into their soul. You're seeing past their face, the shape of their body, their age, their gender. You're just looking straight into their eyes, straight deep into their soul, the essence, the core of who they are. And Job says, my eyes, I made a covenant with them. Now a covenant is an agreement. It's an agreement. So basically, Job says it in a poetic way. He says, I have me and my eyes, we had a conversation. I talked to my eyes, and my eyes talked back to me. Okay? It's poetic, right? And we came to an agreement. We made a covenant. We decided that we would not look upon a woman to lust. That was the agreement he made with his eyes. That was a covenant he made with his eyes. Job understood if he's going to be led into fornication, then first he will need to lust. And before he enters into that lust, first he needs to look. And so Job says, I'm going to take these eyes, and I'm not going to commit fornication like my friends think I do, because probably they are. He says, how can I commit fornication if I'm not lusting? I'm not thinking upon a maid. That's a woman, okay, a young woman. Job says, I'm not thinking about another woman. And so how can I fornicate if I'm not thinking about her and not lusting after one? He says, and I can't lust after one and pick one out and think about one and burn in my desire for another one if I don't look. And so Job says, here's where the battle is. It's here. It's right here. When it gets in through here, it gets stuck in here. And you know that the battle is for the mind. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. You are what you think. You are what you have in here. So how can you protect here? You know, Philippians 4:8. Think about things that are pure and true and just and holy, virtuous. But before it gets to here, how do we do that? We need to protect our eyes. Job says, I have made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? Let's turn now to the book of Psalms. Very next book, Job, Psalms. We come to another hero of the faith. I will sing of the mercy and judgment. Unto thee, O Lord, will I sing. This is David. I will behave myself wisely in a perfect way. Sound like Job, right? Remember said he was perfect? Mature? David says, that's what I want to do. I want to behave perfectly, wisely. Oh, when wilt thou come unto me? I will walk within mine house with a perfect heart. Where? In God's house. Nope. Is it hard to walk in God's house with a perfect heart? Not really. Is it hard to come to church and not to swear? No, we're not going to swear in church, I would hope. Not like that one guy who runs for senator and swears behind the pulpit. Is it hard to refrain, to stop yourself from swearing in church? No, it's easy to walk uprightly. It's easy to walk in God's house with a perfect heart. It's easy not to look at bad things with your eyes when you're in church. And David says, fine, church, yes, but also within my house. With a perfect heart. That's within your bedroom. That's on the TV screen. That's on the computer monitor. That's on the websites. It's on the TV commercials. It's on the shows. Can you really say that if you're watching Vice Bacala in the afternoon, you're walking within your heart, in your home with a perfect heart? Do you think that's what David's talking about? You think David's saying, yeah, I walk within my home, within my house. Everyone can do it in God's house. We can all come here and pretend like we're just like everybody else. I'm mature, you're mature, I'm doing pretty good, you're doing pretty good. A month or two ago I talked about being like the trees in the forest. We all look like trees in the forest. When we're all in church, we're like a bunch of trees in the forest. We're all just kind of hiding out amongst each other. But what are you when you're in your home? What are you when there's no one there to watch you? That's how you know what your true character is. True character is this. It's doing what you would do, what you want to do, or you do when no one is around. There's no one to give you consequence of men. It's only of God that you receive the consequence. That's how you know your true character. It's what you do when you're alone, by yourself. And here David says, I will walk perfectly uprightly when I'm in my own house. Do you think he's talking about a noontime show where the girls are dressed hardly at all? You think that's what David's watching? No, because he doesn't have a TV. That's not what he's watching. Okay? Now that's not the verse I really want to talk about, because you probably already looked ahead in verse 3. What does it say? David says, I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave to me. He says, I will set no evil thing. No evil thing. Now there will be evil things before your eyes. But he says, hey, there's some things I can't help but see. You go out, coming up the stairs, you can't help but see there's a big banner with a girl with no clothes on. Can't help but see it. But you can't help the birds from landing in the trees. But you can stop them from growing a nest. The old saying goes. You can't help what you see, but you can help what you will set before your eyes. Now that is what you can control. And that's why one reason I don't go to movie theaters is I can't control what's set before my eyes. If I'm at home and it's on Netflix, I can turn it off. I can skip ahead. I can mute the backbeat, the rock music. I can mute it. Can't do that in a movie theater. I want to set. I want to be the one to set it before my eyes. I don't want to give as little control over it as I can. When I'm in the Grab or a taxi, I hate that they'll have their radio on. Sometimes I have to tell them, you need to turn that off. You need to listen to something else. And I'm not trying to be a jerk, but sometimes I just have to tell them. So David is saying, I will take the control and what I can control, what I set, that's my control, what I choose to do with my own decision. I'm not going to set any evil thing. Now that could mean a lot, right? But it's especially talking about something that, because in the rest of the verse it says, I hate them that work, I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave to me. And he's talking about wickedness that will turn a person away. David says, I don't want to be turned away. I don't want to be turned aside. In other words, here's what he's talking about. He's saying there's something that I have a prize, like Paul. There's something that I'm pushing towards. There's something that I'm living my life as a goal to attain. I'm reaching out. I'm trying to get it. And there are things that are pulling me this way and pulling me back, and they want to take me and pull me aside. And David says, I hate that work. I hate the work of those that want to pull me away, because I'm trying and I'm struggling in this flesh and this body of death to reach towards Christ and our spiritual goal. And these things are pulling me aside. And David says, I'm not going to set those things that pull me aside. I'm not going to set them in front of my eyes. They're there already pulling me away. Why would I want that? I hate it. They say that pastors don't like to preach on gluttony. You know why? Here, let me do a little side view here. That's not, alright? Because we're gluttons. Alright? I'll let Pastor, I can't preach on gluttony. It'd be too, you'd laugh me out of this room, okay? Like, yeah, you're one to talk about gluttony, brother. Maybe we'll have Joel come up here and talk about that. And now, Pastor, he can now. Okay, years ago he couldn't, but now he can, alright? So I'm going to say gluttony for him. Alright? But any man that can say, hey, you know what? I'm not tempted. David was. David was more than tempted. He fell into this with Bathsheba. So for a man to say, well, I'm not tempted, I don't think any man, well, obviously he's not going to be honest if he's going to say that. I don't think any man would even be stupid enough to say that. Say, I'm not tempted. So you guys say, well, where does the temptation come from? Well, temptation comes from here, from the man. But it also takes two to tango, as they say, right? So also the ladies. Providing a temptation, giving a temptation to a man is also wrong. Right? So that's what would be an evil thing. Don't be the evil thing. Okay, so 20% of this message is for ladies. And then 99%, the rest of 20. Right? Then it gets to 100. So 20% for ladies, and then the other 99% is for men. Right? So David says, I will set no evil thing before mine eyes. Job says, I have made a covenant with mine eyes. I will not look upon it. And that kept Job out of trouble. And this was David after he got in trouble. He says, yeah, man, that was the problem. I was walking there on my roof. I looked down, and then there's Bathsheba. And then there's the difference. It's not wrong for him to be on the roof. Now, we know the situation. He was supposed to be at war. But there on a roof, it's nothing wrong to look down upon a roof. But you kind of have to wonder. He's supposed to be at war. He's on the roof. When he's looking down on that roof, kind of have to wonder, maybe he knew there might be a lady out there taking a bath. Right? Yeah. Kind of, I was kind of puzzled, like, well, you know, maybe he wasn't just walking around on the roof praying and then he looked down and, I was kind of like, looking for trouble. And they say sometimes we chase after sin so hard that it overcomes us. And that means sin is over here, and we're going to come as close as we can to sin, and before we know it, sin is behind us, and it's already our masters. We're its slaves. So David, he came too close to sin. I think he's already looking for trouble, and trouble found him. So David says, all right, I need to control what I put in front of my eyes. I will set no evil thing before mine eyes. Okay? Now, we have a new struggle, a new challenge, and that is called the internet. It used to be, if you wanted to find some, and go ahead and turn to Matthew chapter 19, I'm talking about this. It used to be, if you wanted to find pornography, you'd have to go to the worst part of town at night, and you have to hide your car to go see it. Not anymore. Now we have the internet. It's everywhere. It's pervasive. Okay, it's even accepted. You don't even have to do it in shame anymore. Well, there should be shame. And so we need to have some practical rules for ourselves. Now, it's one thing to know it. It's one thing, and one thing I encourage all men here today. I want you to make a covenant with your eyes, like Job. Not because I'm saying so, but because I believe Job knew what he was talking about. And when someone came and accused him, Job, you're a fornicator. Job says, I'm not, because I protect my eyes. That's the key. Before it comes in here, I protect it. The gates. The gates are closed. So tonight, pray and say, God, I'm making a covenant right now. I'm making an agreement. Me and my eyes were coming to an understanding. Because it's easy for the eyes to wander. It's easy for the eyes to stay too long. And say, God, I'm making a covenant with my eyes. I will not so much as look upon it. Forget about thinking on it. I won't even look upon it. When I was a little boy, Jeremiah's age, my Jeremiah age, and we would watch a movie. Okay, we call it a VCR or tape back then. We'd watch a movie I'd be with my dad in our house, and there's something that would come on. I don't know how young I was, but automatic. If it's an immodest woman, turn away. And then someone will say, it's okay now. And then we turn back. Okay? Wow. It's just embedded into my mind from when I was that little boy's age down there, I guess. Okay? It's something practical that we can do. Now, you could say the question, well, maybe you should not be watching anything that comes on that's bad at all. And you know what? Maybe you are right. Maybe it's best we just turn the whole thing off, and if there's a program where something bad would come on, don't watch it at all. I'm not saying that's wrong. In fact, I say you're probably right. I'm already, in other words, just by the fact that if something comes on, and it's on, and I even need to turn away, maybe I'm already too close to the line as is. And if someone will say, you know what, I'm drawing the line right here, I'm not even going to watch something where I need to turn away. I would say good. Yeah. I'm not going to say that's bad. I'm not going to say you're a Pharisee. I'm going to say, I applaud that. That's a good stand to have. If you don't take that stand, because I don't, maybe I should. If you do, then that's good. If you don't take that stand, then at the very least, if there's something that is enticing to the eyes, and Hollywood knows how to do that, they're the experts at it. Turn away. Turn away. If I'm watching with my wife, I'll turn away. And then she'll say, it's okay. I'm watching something with my boys, we all turn away. And we can hear and we can tell when it's good or not when the scene changes. Alright? That's another thing. Sometimes you say, well, this is not for children. It's not for children, it's not for adults either. Okay? So if it's something that could harm the mind of a child, it's going to do the same for an adult. Okay? So you don't say, well, it's just for your children. Now there's some things like violence and, something that's scary. Okay, maybe an adult won't get scared of ghosts, and a child should not be watching that, right? My wife and I, we like to watch Real True, it's called Dateline. It's like a news show, you can find it on YouTube. It's about real life investigators that investigate real life murders. Small rural town in Indiana, as the sun was setting, Farmer Bob was on his tractor, and his wife was dead in the kitchen with blood everywhere. Okay, so, it's really true, it's kind of gripping. Am I going to watch that with my kids? Maybe the older ones, okay? So it's not because there's fornication, so I might say some things are for adults and not for kids, but when it comes to purity like fornication, I'm not going to say, oh, it's okay for adults and it's not okay for kids. Okay? When Job says, when I have made a covenant with my eyes, and David said, I will set no evil thing before my eyes. He's not saying, well, until I'm an adult. You know what that is. Okay? So don't give me this, well, that's not for the children's stuff. Alright? It's not for you either, adults. Okay? So if you're watching something, and there's something that bad that comes on, you turn away. Okay, growing up, we did not have a TV in my house. Okay? And when there's a big game, like a football game, like really important, Michigan football, once in a while my dad would let us borrow the TV of some guy down the road, and he would put it in our house, we would watch it, then he would take it out of the house and get rid of it. He was scared and terrified. He was scared to death of the television. My dad's not a fool for that. He had 8 young children growing up in his house. And he was scared what a child with a TV could produce. He was wise for that. In my house, we don't have live channels. You know why? Control. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I am saying it's dangerous. Can you control what the commercials? You can say, hey, I can watch a perfectly fine show on TV. Can you control what the commercials are? No, you can't. You're losing control. I prefer to have as much as possible. I watch stuff on YouTube, I watch stuff on Netflix. I don't have any live channel stuff in my house. Control. I want to control. Okay, when I watch with my boys, we turn away. Okay? About the internet. Every night, about 10 o'clock at night, no later than, I will tell my boys, Simer. Simer! I'll know what that means. It stands for stash your electronics in my room. I know, creative guy. I say Simer. I don't need to explain it because they've been doing it their whole life. I say Simer, and out come all their bedrooms, these little ants, and they all deposit, little rich American kids deposit all their electronic gadgets. Here comes Charity out of this, here comes Josiah, Elijah, Izzy, Jeremiah, all coming out, and they stash all of their electronics in my room. So guess what they're not doing? They're not sinning. They're not tempted to do anything with their eyes. Why? They don't get the opportunity. The Bible says, make no provision for the flesh to fulfill the lusts of their eyes. Good verse. If you're going to give a child access to a TV, I don't think that's wise. If you're going to give a child, especially a boy, or even a girl, access to internet in his room, in the evening, you're not fit to be a father. You're not fit. You're too immature. If you think that you can trust a boy on the internet, that's child abuse. Okay? As the protector in the home, as the shield of the home. That's what you're shielding against, is to keep that stuff out of the home. So I tell my boy Simon, fathers, don't let your children have TV in their bedrooms. Don't trust them. They're not to be trusted. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. Don't trust them with the internet. Don't trust them with the TV. Keep it away. That's the job. Okay? Now let's just look at one more thing. Matthew chapter 19, verse 12. So what happened here was that the Pharisees came to Jesus and said, hey, can we divorce a woman for anything we want? Because some people say you can only divorce them for this, and then some people for this, and some people say, no, you can divorce them for anything. The Pharisees wanted Jesus to answer that question. And Jesus says, don't divorce at all. And they said, well, why did Moses give divorce? And Jesus said, well, Moses gave divorce because you're going to have Philippines, is what you're going to have if there's no divorce. In other words, you're going to have people who were married when they're 18, and then they split up when they're 18, and then they met a new guy when they were 19, and they're going to have children with this new guy, and he got married when he was 18, and so his wife's living with some other guy, and then her husband is living with some other man, and then they're together, been together for 20 years, have 6 children, and their wife is married, or not married, is with some other guy, and they have 6 children, and his wife's ex-husband is with some other, they have 6 children. That's pretty confusing. It's better just to get divorced, you're already living together, and to get remarried, because you're already in adultery. That's why God made divorce. And he says, because the hardness of their hearts. That's why in the Philippines, it's like live-in, they call their live-ins husband and wife. That's my husband, that's my wife. It's like marriage means almost nothing. Because divorce actually makes marriage stronger. I'm not going to explain that, but anyway. So then, the disciples said to Jesus, well then, like, nobody should get married. Because it's so common to divorce your wife or marry a divorcee. Jesus said you can't be doing that. And the disciples said, well, you should probably just not get married at all. Sounds like the disciples had a bad attitude. Then we come to verse 12. For there are some, Jesus said, for there are some eunuchs. Now, a eunuch is an emasculated man, right? Emasculated man. In other words, it's a man that does not have desires of what a man normally has. Okay? In other words, he doesn't have the problem of Job and David we're talking about. There's men like that. And Jesus explains it. Okay? For there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb. In other words, from the day that they were conceived. It's nothing to do with nature or nurture. It's all to do with nature. Okay? That when my mother was pregnant, before they even knew what a girl or a boy was, God says they're eunuchs. Okay? God says they're special to me, and they're never going to get married. And they can't get married. They don't have the desire to be able to get married. Alright? They're eunuchs from the time that they were conceived in their mother's womb. Okay? A lot of the bakla. Now some of the bakla are bakla by nurture. Okay? They're molested. Something bad happened to them. A bad family member that did a bad thing to them, and it twisted them. Alright? A lot of bakla are like that. But there's also bakla out there that were convinced that because they don't like girls, or if they're a girl and don't like boys, that they must like the others, their own gender. Okay? And then because of the pressure, and because of the media, and because of the internet, and because of the movies, and because of what people say, and even the teachers in the school are telling them this, oh, you're bakla. And where I live in Bigani, Batangas, there's some kids there that they're just little kids. They should not even know what that is. And their parents are saying, oh, look at my son's bakla. They're letting him put makeup on. And take those mothers and just burn them. Okay, that was a sin. Alright, and then there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. Okay? Not to go into too much detail, but basically a king would want his advisors as men to be able to advise him. And to be a good advisor, he would live in the king's and he would see the king, and the king's wife, and the king's sisters, and the king's daughters. And he did not want these wise and trusted men doing anything with his wife, or his sisters, or his daughters, or forming a powerful family. Right? If you married the king's sister, you got royal blood. And you're already a wise and trusted advisor. That's just too powerful. So what the kings would do was they would emasculate those men, so they were not able to do anything. All right? That's a eunuch made by man. Okay, so we have two kinds of eunuchs. 3 in total. We're 2 down, 1 to go. One is made from the womb as a eunuch. Okay? And the advice there is leave them alone. Right? Leave them alone. If they're mafia, don't say they don't like girls, they should be like boys. Leave them alone. They're not going to get married. Don't try and get them married. Okay? And don't say that it's a sin or something wrong, or they like guys, but they don't like guys, they just don't like either one. And that's fine. The second type of eunuch is one that's made of eunuch by men. Okay? They're castrated. And then it says, some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men, and there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. So Jesus says, and then there's a third type of eunuch. It's someone who doesn't, if he does have the desire, never been castrated. Okay? From the time in his mother's womb, he does have a desire for women. But he says, you know what, I'm going to put that aside. And I'm going to be single to the glory of God. There are things that I can't do because I'm married and I have 8 children for the ministry. Things I would like to do in the ministry, I can't. There's something that Pastor would like to do. Sometimes says, man, I'd really like to go to Vietnam. Just, God burdens me. He can't. He's got a wife. If he had no wife and children, he could be wandering around like Paul in Pisidia. Okay? He can't. He's got a wife, he's got kids, he's got responsibilities, he's got bills to pay because of that. But there's some men that said, you know what? I'm going to turn it, I'm going to take it, I'm going to leave it, all this time. All the things that I could do, I won't. I'm going to be a eunuch for God. And God says, that's good. And then later Paul says, it's good for a man if he doesn't marry. It's fine. Stay single, he can do that. He doesn't need to worry about providing food for a wife and kids. He can travel and go into the forest and come back out with a big full beard 6 months later, and then an Indian is saved. Good, there's great.
Wow.
And then Paul says, but it's better to marry than to pray. He says, but that, if it's going to lead you into fornication, get married. I'd rather you be married, settled, and not in sin, than doing all kinds of crazy, wild, great things for me that's just plain amazing, and then you fall into sin. Okay? So these are just some practical things that we see from the Bible. The key is the eyes. So I encourage you to enjoy it. Make a covenant with your eyes. You will set no evil thing before your eyes.
So sad things as we close this invitation. What a wonderful message tonight. Amen. God knows our needs, and so the eye is the problem. Please, that's a wonderful decision to make a covenant with God, to set no wicked thing before these eyes. Okay?